Sometimes I can bounce off everybody. But can somebody put a heart, or is it just me? Like, can somebody heart the Zoom, or am I just? All right, just there we go. Come on, team.
Oh, they're loaded up.
Come
they're
on,
ready for
team.
you.
What's up? How we doing? I needed something. It's like you ever talk to a prospect and you're talking to them and they're like, "Yep, okay, yep." We can't do that on today's Zoom call. I know I have the most energetic crowd, so yeah. If you guys could just keep that going, it's like a tennis match, right? I hit the ball over, you hit the ball over, and that's good engagement. That's what rapport means, by the way. Rapport is not just finding points of commonality. Rapport is the conversation has ebb and flow, right? So if you ever want to kill rapport, or if you want to kill somebody that doesn't support your business, just don't hit the ball back. Somebody asked me today, well, man, how do you deal with people that hate on your business? I said, you don't hit the tennis ball back. That's how you deal with them. You just don't hit the ball back. How do you deal with people that hate on it or don't support it? Don't hit the ball back. The game ends. Ta-da, move on. That's the easiest way. You don't got to even respond. Don't even respond with, watch me, I'm going to make $1 million. Don't even do that. But hey, team, first of all, Terry, thank you for the introduction. Super Patch family, what's up? Maybe this is your first call. Quick little introduction. My name's Daniel G. In the last, I think, 8 years, we've been around the world. I've been fortunate enough to train on hundreds, 600-700 plus stages at this point. We just came back from London, England. I'm here in my hometown, which is called Mississauga, Canada, and I'm here visiting family for the week. And today's a super important subject because I feel like sometimes business is not just the dollars we attack, but the dollars that are left on the table and the impact that's left on the table. So for today's training, I want to talk about one important thing is that how do we miss the money that is currently around us right now? Because remember, there's new business constantly that we go attack 24/7, but there's money and business on the table that we forget 24/7. And sometimes what happens inside of our business, the more we work, the higher our conscious awareness becomes. So I'm going to give you an example of this to dumb this down. If you are a leader and you make $20,000 a month inside of a company, your conscious awareness grows that you know your product can serve multiple different people. Your conscious awareness grows that if you go through a Starbucks, you don't leave that Starbucks drive-through without a name, email, and phone number because you know you can help that person at the Starbucks, whether it's with health and money. And by the way, that's all people think about, health and money, 24/7. The problem is that it takes people levels and ranks in order to raise their conscious awareness. And then my best advice for people that just start in organizations, I said, imagine you had the conscious awareness like your leader and you implemented that today, you would be at your leader's rank 10 times quicker than they've ever hit the rank. Let me say that again. If your leader has a rank of $10,000, $20,000 a month and your leader talks to everybody that has a heartbeat, because they know their product can serve people because they went through so many demonstrations and slow sales and they've helped people over the last decade or the last 5 years. Imagine you had to have that conscious awareness now. The goal of business is to instill the awareness that your product can serve a lot of people and the rank comes 10 times quicker. You don't get the rank and then get the awareness. It takes so much more longer. You get the awareness and then you get the rank. And what I mean by awareness, because this is, nobody talks about this subject, is, hey, have the conscious awareness that your product can almost help everybody and anybody you shake a hand with. And if you don't have that belief, you have to sit back down and say, where did I go wrong? If you don't have, remember, a lack of belief is a lack of awareness. A lack of belief equals a lack of awareness. What that means is the less you believe that your product can serve and help anybody that has a heartbeat, the less you believe that, the less your awareness is throughout the day to go shake everybody's hand. So awareness, the lack of awareness comes from a lack of belief inside of the business and the product, right? If I don't believe that I can serve anybody inside of sales, I don't have this energy. My lack of action is a lack of belief. My lack of prospecting is a lack of belief. My lack of awareness to say everybody and anybody I can serve, that's a lack of belief. So let's dive into it. Why? Money on the table, conscious awareness. Where am I losing my money? Today's subject, how to not miss out the opportunity around you. okay? Because there's opportunity around you. And the first one I'm going to start with, and we can go through this one quickly, is the follow through game. Can we write this down? Follow through. So write the word, 2 words, follow through. I got off a meeting this morning with some of my sales reps, and I said, hey guys, the amateurs in business, they follow up with people. The professionals in business, they follow through with people. And I think where we're losing right now is because I think everybody on this call has been in the middle situation where you don't want to follow through, follow up too many times because you don't want to be annoying. And you don't want to not do it because you still want to make the sale and they got to know you're doing your job. So what I mean by follow through versus follow up is annoying and that's why you don't want to do it. Follow through is advancing the sale towards what they need inside of their benefit. So remember in the very first meeting that we had, what Jay said, right? People have to understand, when me and Jay had a conversation, it's like, you have to understand that if you give somebody a coffee and you think you did a good deed, but you gave them 2 creams, 2 sugars, it's almost like an insult because you never asked, they just like black coffee. Well, in sales, if you're following up with somebody, it's the same exact insult if you're like, are you ready to get started? Because you're showing them, I only care about my commission check, I don't care about you. See, follow-up is reminding them about the sale. And it almost sounds like you need to make the money. Hey, by the way, Jenny, are you ready? Any other questions you had for me? Do you know how many times I have people that follow up with me and they ask me, is there any other questions that you need that I can help you with? And I replied one day, I said, dude, why are you making me do work? I'm the customer. You're asking me to do work now? Think of questions that I had about the product. Why didn't your job as a sales rep to say, Daniel, I know you're going through this, this, and this. I know there wasn't a way for you and I to partner up with each other or for me to improve your health at the time you were at. But I just had a conversation 3 hours ago with somebody that was traveling like yourself a lot. And it reminded me about you because I know you're traveling a lot. What are you doing tonight at 4 p.m.? Would love to run something by you to get your feedback. Oh, me, traveler, running around, me. That's follow through. So the difference between follow up and follow through, remember, follow ups, beginners and amateurs. Follow through, professional and world class. Follow through means 2 things. You're advancing the sale and you're adding value. You add value, you advance the sale. So a follow through is new idea, new value, advance the sale. Follow up, pest, and annoying. Follow through, advance, follow up, annoying. Double A's. So follow through, what do I mean? If you have a client that hasn't bought from you for the last 2 weeks, you write down your 23 clients that you've been in contact with for the last year, and you just sit down in every one of their portfolios. And I know you don't have a case study on that individual. It's just a name, email, and phone number. But now what you're going to do is you're going to write down, okay, why would this person join? Why wouldn't they join? And what can I do to add a new idea or new value into the sale? Why would they join? Why did they want to join? Because they had this health problem. They had this money issue. Why do you think they didn't want to join? And what's the new idea or new value that I can add inside of the sale? So let me give you an example. Hey, Terry, Daniel G, hope you're doing well, right? Video message, right? Hey, Terry, Daniel G, hope you're doing well. I'm just finishing up my walk here. Just finished walking my dog. I got a border collie. They're crazy with energy. But hey, talking about energy, I remember on one of our calls, I remember you telling me you were low on energy, and I just helped somebody out. I know you're working in corporate right now. They don't get out enough. They don't get out into nature. And they said, Daniel, what can I do for my immune system, my energy? And I just talked to Carla, and I gave her something to try out for 7 days. And I gave her a new thought to think about while she was doing it. I'd love to show you the game plan that I put together for her because you guys have the same working hours to see if it helps you. And I know in the beginning conversation, we talked about something with money and that being an issue. Completely fine. I figured out something where we could support you in the beginning stages. Let me know what you're doing tonight. If we could jump on a quick phone call for 5 minutes, would love to show you what I got so you could think about it over the summer. Follow-up message. This is why you wanted to join, because you had low energy. By the way, this was the barrier. I'm calling out the elephant in the room. The barrier was that there was a money issue. That's fine. Who cares? But Daniel, they said they didn't have money. It doesn't matter. When value oversees money, money never becomes an issue. People buy dumb every single day because they have the perception of value that is more important than money. So then I said, number one, this is what you wanted, the benefit. Number two, this was the barrier. Let me call out the elephant in the room. No weird stuff, no tactics, no strategies. Let me call out the elephant in the room. I think what's happening with sales today is that people are trying to be all this finesse and everything. Like, let me just call it out. You said you didn't have money. Let me figure out a way where we can work with you. Get on the phone call, 8 p.m., propose a time. Now you're going to say, Daniel, what do I say while I'm on the call? Well, figure it out. Can I get them on something lower to start? Can I get them on a lower package? Can I add more value to the phone call where value oversees money? Can I get an ROI on the phone call where not only do they just see that their health is going to increase, but if it's a business person, what's the ROI attached towards spending $197, $297, $997 on a product? Do they see the perception and the ROI of it? So just remember, when you follow up with somebody, remind them as to why they wanted to get started in the first place. There has to be a new idea, new value. Call out the elephant in the room. Get them back on a phone call. Now, here's the structure if we didn't write this down one more time. The structure is this. Remember, the follow-up structure has to be immediately after you touch base with somebody. So if I go meet Steve in the supermarket and I'm talking about my product or whatever at a coffee shop and I'm trying to sell and he says no, remember my stages of follow-up one more time. If you guys haven't mastered it, it's immediately after. Thank you, Steve, for meeting with me. It's a day after. Hey, by the way, Steve, if you don't mind, if there's anything that I find that better suits your lifestyle, do you mind if I keep in touch with you? So number one, thank you for meeting. That's follow-up number one. We forget about it. Number two, is it okay if we stay in contact? Number three, new idea message, right? New value, new idea that we just spoke about. Number four, cutoff message. Hey, by the way, I noticed you didn't reply to my last message. That's the cutoff. That's the heartbreak. And then number five, New Year's message, what we talked about. First thing, team, just remember, the best salesperson never wins. The most dedicated salesperson always wins. The person that is crushing it right now inside of your business is not the best salesperson. I can almost promise you that. They're the most dedicated and disciplined, meaning they follow through on every one of their customers. Nothing happens after one handshake. I know we would love it, but that's usually not the case. The most disciplined person recruits, the most disciplined person wins. Why? Nobody comes out as a dream customer and says, yes, I'm ready to get started. But everybody recruits your dream prospect or dream customer. Why? Because when it's their timing to get started, who's the person that's still on the top of their mind? Right? So imagine you prospected somebody, but you don't follow up with them 5 to 10 times a year. But timing has changed and they're ready to lose weight. They're ready to get healthy. They're ready to make more money. But you're not at the top of the priority list posting on Instagram 24/7 and messaging 24/7. You just lost your best customer. It's money on the table. It's already connections that we've already put in work. Right? Okay. Second thing. This is going to go on the reverse of it. Time, energy, and money is spent in generating conversations. Sometimes what happens is that what I mean by time, energy, and money is we go to events, we prospect people, we talk to people. That's time, energy, and money resource. It's all spent to acquire a lead and have a conversation. What I believe we're missing out on right now, team, is that we almost lack the ability to coach people on a phone call, and we expect the company to represent us. And if anybody wants to win in 2026, we have to represent the company. And it's going to take a shift focus. And I'm going to give you guys the shift focus. Leadership is too much of a fluffy word. I'm going to call it out. Okay? And everybody uses it. So do I, but to the right people. Why? Because if somebody says be a leader, dude, you got to be more of a leader and step into a leadership position. Be a leader. Be a leader. I don't even know what that looks like since I'm a kid. I don't know what it is to be a leader. Now, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, dude, who is your favorite coach in soccer? Oh, I know. Oh, this guy. Okay, we need to emulate coach. So let me tell you the greatest leaders, they're the greatest coaches. Some of us have to be coaches before we even bring somebody inside of the business. Because people need to be led by you, okay, better than they can lead themselves. And people only buy from you when they know you can coach them through this conversation, you can coach them through their freaking business. And some of us don't have we have the belief inside of our head we need to hit a certain rank in order to coach that person. But if you can write this down, that you will always sell more than the prospect buys. You will always sell more than a prospect buys. So I know we're waiting to get to a rank to act like a coach, but you've already sold the prospect. You already sold 17 products. You already talked to 17 different people. You are more educated than the first time prospect ever buys. So let me, because it comes from a posture and a status game inside of sales. We will always sell more than a prospect buys. A prospect only buys a product for their first time on the conversation with you. They haven't bought your product 95 times before, and now we're a new representative approaching them maybe once or twice, but we sell all day. So what that means is we are the coach and we are the leader. We are the coach and we are the leader. And the coach and the leader brings in the hard conversations. The coach and the leader doesn't, let people off the hook when there's a problem. They call out the elephant in the room. The coach and the leader closes towards the end of the call and does everything in their ability to help out that individual, because that's what the coach does. What winning team ever said, my coach is soft? Man, coach pushes us. But I don't want to be too hard on a phone call. How you ever going to have a winning freaking customer if you can't coach them through their problems? How are we ever going to help people out if we don't know how to coach them on a phone call? So I know we have this leadership thing in our head, but let's boil it down. How can I be the best coach? Leaders inside of direct sales have to transition into becoming coaches for their team. Sales reps selling in direct sales have to transition to becoming coaches on a phone call for the other person that's sitting in front of them. Because the moment somebody buys from you is the moment somebody says, does this person come with the product? The sale happens. They don't need to know your rank. They don't need to know more about the product. Do you come with the product? Yes, I'm buying. That's a subconscious thought. Why? Because they said this person can coach me better than I can coach myself. So we're going to go a level advanced today. Inside of our conversations with clients, what are our coaching points? Our coaching points. So, because all I said, people buy from you and you can lead them better than they can lead themselves. Now, if anybody disagrees with this, every top leader inside a business has just coached somebody on a phone call to think a new thought so they can take a different action. Sales is not about selling a product. It's about getting them to think a new thought so they do something different. When I go speak on stage, team, I'm not trying to get somebody to go take a new action. I'm trying to get them to think different. If I can get them to think different, I can get them to act different. Instead of the reverse, hey, go do this because you need to do this and you need to make, nobody's going to do it. Remember what I said the difference between pressure and urgency was? Pressure is a statement, urgency is a question. Pressure is telling somebody what to do. Urgency is asking them what happens if they don't do it. It generates it up inside of them. So as a good coach, we look at our conversations and we sit down and we say, okay, the only way somebody buys into Super Patch and me as their coach and their leader, okay, is if I help them think a new thought. Step number one, they have to buy into me as a coach. Where can I coach them inside of these conversations? So I'm doing this with you guys right now. This is work right now. We look at a conversation when we talk to people, right? We look at their lifestyle, where they work, how long they've been working. If we're talking about making money, we're talking about what they're currently doing for work, roughly how much they're getting paid. Have they ever done something on the side? How much ballpark do they want to make? Write these questions, where they're at, where they want to go, right? Very basic questions, where they're at, where they want to go. So let's talk about the opportunity for a second. I'm trying to bring Terry in to help sell Super Patch with myself. I just met Terry at a conference. We had a good conversation. Terry's doing great, but he feels like he's worth more and he wants to do more. He's interested. So I got Terry on a 7-minute phone call with me on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. I got 5 to 10 minutes with Terry because he's super busy. He's a CMO of a company, and I know I got 5 to 10 minutes with this individual, right? I need to figure out where in this conversation can I make Terry think a little bit more, right? whoever it is. I'm giving you guys my coaching points. Now, I got to know, well, if Terry's not a business owner, I might not coach him on money. If he is, I might have a coaching point about money. Write that down, right? A coaching point about goals. Write that down. A coaching point about current lifestyle. Write that down. A coaching point about belief. Write that down. Because every point you have, you're going to have questions around them. So what does that mean? I'm going to give you a perspective. I mean, Steve, dude, hey, first of all, I appreciate you being on this call. I just want to, understand a little bit more about you. Obviously, we have, amazing solutions for athletes like yourself. I'd love to see if we could partner up and actually help you out. But before that, let me take like 3 steps back here for a second. I just want, I want to better understand, who you are and what you do and to see if we can help you, right? Beginning of conversation, just to give you guys a refresher, right? That's my beginning. I know I talk fast, but hopefully maybe you guys got a recording or you take some notes. I want to better understand how we can support and help you. And then I dive right into it. So Steve, talk to me. What's new? What do you got going on? What are you currently doing? Very genuine. What do you got going on? What's new inside of life? What's up? What do you got going on? Steve's running me down the situation. Nice, Steve. And what do you do for work again? Oh man, I work at a soccer clinic. I help people, train in soccer. Okay, awesome. And you're on your feet all day? Yes, okay, amazing. And dude, I know you said you wanted to figure out a way to make more money inside of your life. If you don't mind me asking, without getting too personal, where are you at right now with income? Is it very high? Over 10,000? Where are you at monthly ballpark every single month? I'm at about $6,000 a month. Okay, cool. And what do you want to be making in the next 6 to 12 months? Like, what's the target? What's the goal, right? Because even if we partner up, I want to have something where we can actually attack that's real and we hit it. What's the goal? I want to make $10,000 a month. Okay, cool. So there's $4,000 gap. So now I figured out where he's at, where he wants to go, right? My first question is this to Steve. Why haven't you already done it? I'm the coach. I'm not saying, oh, we can get you there. You lost. You're the sales rep. The coach says, hey, dude, Steve, why haven't you already done something? Well, I have. And because if you're not really trying to coach them. You're just trying to give them the solution before you know the problem. Well, I have, but I wasn't good at sales, or I have, and the company wasn't like, you have to really get out. Hey, what's the pain with this individual? Why have they been stuck? How long have you been at $4,000 a month? How long have you been at $6,000 a month? Well, I have, but, I've been stuck at $5,000 a month. I just don't know where to start or where to get their problems, right? Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question. Why $10,000 and why not 8? Or why not 12? Why 10? Team, by the way, how do you ever get the importance of somebody's goal if we don't ask them? And then we wonder why downlines don't work. People don't buy because you don't know what's important to them. Steve, let me ask you a question. Why 10? Why not 7? Or like 15? Why was it 10? I just want to know. Just curious. I'm a curious guy. Why? Why 10? Well, 10, man, can you pay bills? What do you want? I can help out my mother. I can do this. I can do this. Okay, awesome. What did I just do there? I grabbed their wants, needs, and desires, which is much more important than the fucking work. We're trying to sell the business. You got to know why they're doing the business. And you know what you do as a smart coach and leader? You take down all of this stuff. Why? Because that's your intake form to train them in the future. What do you mean? Yeah. My first conversation with a sales rep is the exact way I train them and I edify them in the future. I don't even need to make them fill out an intake form. I know everything about them. So when Steve tells me, man, I just ranked up. Hey, Steve, check the mail. There's already Steve's favorite restaurant sitting in the mail. Why? Because it was already in the intake form when we had our first conversation. That's what a good coach does, a good leader does. They listen. You know what most salespeople do? I mean, shouldn't every single coach be able to edify without asking, what do you like? You want to know why we're not able to close deals? Because you don't know why they would do the business in the first place. Do you know why people don't work? It's because you don't know your team and what motivates them to work. That's like asking your wife or your girlfriend, guys on the call, where do you want to go for dinner? Don't make it do work, dude. No. Hey, what do you like to wear? What kind of ring do you should just know. It's much easier that way. Okay, so why am I saying this? Number one, figure out why the person would do the business in the first place so we could sell towards them, not towards us. Hey, what is in it for this person? Okay, why? Well, I want to retire my mom. I want to, have an extra for the savings. What would you do with the savings in the future? Real estate. Okay, nice, man. I love that. Hey, what else? There would be an extra 500. Okay, awesome. And let me ask you another question, Steve. What have you tried to do in the past in order to get that, and why hasn't it worked out? I want to better understand so I can best support you in the future. Oh, now I'm doing two things. Write it down, team. Daniel's not saying, well, hey, hopefully you join. I'm already partnered up with you. I just want to know how we're going to make you win. I'm already future pacing the sale before the sales happen. Hey, dude, so you and I, Terry, we have a good relationship and we knock this thing out of the park, and maybe we don't have to wait 6 months. Maybe we can wait 3 months. Let me ask you a question. What do you feel stopped you in your last position where you weren't able to get $4,000? So when we do partner up, that doesn't become an issue. We can anticipate and eliminate it. There's no By the way, team, I want you guys to write this down. I know you guys are thinking, well, Daniel G, it's easy for you to say because, you've already made money and you can already act like it. Doesn't take a rank to be a coach. It takes the coach to hit the rank. Okay? So everybody's going to say, well, but if I was like Jay and then I would talk like this. No. You only get to Jay when you talk like this first, then you get to Jay income. It's not the reverse. So there is nobody that's going to give you permission to be a leader. And we wait on ranks to give us permission to be a leader and a coach. But the only way you get to that rank is when you give yourself permission today. And it doesn't take us 5 years to get to a position. It takes us 5 years to get to permission. Let me say that again. It doesn't take us 5 years to get to a position. It takes us 5 years to give ourselves permission. I'm the leader. I'm the coach. They came to me. Hey, nobody spends 5 minutes sitting down with you figuring out how their life can be a little bit better. They are interested. It's time for you to step in the coach. I don't care if somebody sits down on a chair and you think you're selling them something. You're wrong. They sat down saying, please help me. Let me say that one more time. If somebody sits in a chair and you're testing out their balance with a patch, okay? Or you're testing out their body and their movement, and you think, well, I got to sell this person. Dude, the person just said, I have a problem and I'm willing enough to sit down and listen. Hopefully you can help me. Why are you acting as the salesperson? Why don't you immediately act as the doctor and the coach in 4 seconds? But Daniel, I've only been in the company for 4 weeks. They don't know. They have no clue. You know your product? Yes. So to the best of your capabilities, become the coach and the doctor. Hey, what do you currently do? Okay, nice. How much movement do you do right now? How long have you been walking for? Can I ask you a question, Margaret? Yeah. How many steps do you do every single day? I do 2,000. I know we're going to have a long relationship. Would you be willing with me after this that we can commit to 5,000? Yeah, by the way, is that part of Super Patch? No. Is that what a coach does? Yes. Why? Because a coach is a coach. They're not biased towards their product. The product's the easiest thing in the world to sell. This is the easiest thing in the world when they know you're in it for them. When they know you're in it for yourself, you can't sell them nothing. Let me reverse it one more time. Sometimes it takes a decade for people to figure out. But I hope people can understand when you have a product that can literally support somebody and they see the demonstration that it can help them after, it is the easiest thing in the world to sell. The problem is they don't want to buy it from you because you're just in it for yourself. You're just in it for the commissions. When they know, hey, something in my head says this person actually wants me to win, sales is the easiest thing in the world. That thought just hasn't entered their mind. I promise you, I get on sales calls 24/7. People try to sell me stuff. One guy tried to partner up with me and take 30% of my business. And next thing you know it, a week and a half down the road, I'm actually negotiating terms that he could take a percentage of my business. He wants to come in and do this. I'm like, man, what was the beginning conversation with this high-level guy? The first thing he said to me was, Daniel, and excuse my language, team, he said, I don't want to F your shit up. So if I can't come in and seamlessly working with what you got, where it's not like you feel like you got to make space for me, then I don't want to do this. I don't want to F your shit up. And I'm going to maybe send you off to somebody else, or I'm going to say, continue doing what you got to go do. I listened to the recording. I said, And And that's why he's good at what he does. But you want to know what somebody else is going to try to figure out? A script. What's the script? That's called sales. That's called sales. Listen to me. You're sitting down this call being like, well, I don't get it, Daniel. What does that mean? It was deal-oriented versus sale-oriented, right? We talked about it in the beginning. So you got to think to yourself, man, does the customer on the other end know that I'm in it for them before the product comes in as a bias, right? That's the first thing. So what are your coaching points? Where can you coach on? Can you coach on money? Can you coach on goals? Hey, by the way, why haven't you hit it? And let me ask you a question. Jay, do you think it was more about that you didn't put in the effort last time, or was it just all in the company? Okay, awesome. If you had something different, what are you willing to do this time around? How would you make it right, even if the thing wasn't perfect? How would you make something like this right? Okay, awesome. Jay, I have this question. Where can you coach on, right? And remember, a coach is not rude. A coach can be hard, but a coach is not rude. A coach can be hard, but a coach is not rude. So when you have a downline, it's not to be rude, but a coach is hard. It's not rude. So somebody told me one day, but Daniel, you're super difficult on people. I'm like, yeah, but that's the balance of sales and leadership and coaching. I said, I'm going to be difficult on people, but I'm not going to disrespect people. But I'm going to be difficult. I'm going to make sure I'm going to push that person until they see the potential that they don't even see inside of them. That's it. They're not rude, right? And it's also, it's a privilege to do your job, team. It's a privilege to help other people out. The bigger your team becomes, the bigger of a privilege it becomes. I just started realizing this later on inside of my career, inside of sales and leadership. In the beginning, I always used to complain about life and business because as you become a coach, guess what happens? Everybody comes to you. Money problems, issues, team can't work, team has questions. You start to serve a lot more people. But let me tell you one thing. Isn't it a privilege that people can see in you what you can't even see in yourself? My grandfather sat me down one day and he said this. I sat down, it was about 1.5 years ago, and I started complaining to my grandfather. I said, no, my team this person this person wants money, this. And he said, you must be so blessed. I said, what do you mean? I'm like, nobody cares about how Daniel is. They just question after question. He's like, well, you're blessed. They see something in you that they don't feel that they can even help themselves. So they come to you. You should be so blessed that they see that you can handle the capacity of all this and they can't even handle it themselves. What an honor. The next morning I woke up and I said, it's a privilege to do what I do because people could see what in something inside of me that I can't even see inside of myself. And I mean that from any single sale or any single leadership standpoint, that it is a privilege for somebody to come to you and complain to you. And even though I know you're a coach and you don't like complaints, dude, they think maybe you could solve something for them that they can't even solve for themselves. They see something in you that they can't even see in themselves. They see something in you sometimes that you can't even see inside of yourself. And it all clicked. I said, give me another one. Give me another problem. Tell me something else. Let me go prospect more people. Let me go deal with more difficult clients, right? So, coaching. Write this down. Find your coaching points where you think you could give somebody advice on a phone call that sometimes might not even be related towards a product. Figure out where you can give somebody advice on a sales call or a sales conversation that might be related to your product, either or. So whether it's related or not, figure out what questions you're going to ask people on a phone call that are difficult and hard. Because the easy question ends up in a hard close. The hard questions ends up in an easy close. You ask the hard questions, the close is easy. You ask the easy questions, the close is hard. Let me say that again. If you never call out the hard questions, the close always becomes difficult. If you can have the ability to ask people, hey, why haven't you done it? If you do this in the beginning, what are we going to do different? If you can have the ability to ask the hard questions, closing becomes easier. Wouldn't you want a harder beginning and an easier end? With whether that's a downline, a teammate, or a customer, right? I'm going to give you guys another example because I love stories. I'm in London this week. I hosted an event in London. This lady front row, I asked her, I said, and I want you guys to think about this for a second, but I had to be coach, right? I got off stage. I said, hey, what do you make every single month? She says, I make $4,000 a month. I said, what do you want to make every single month? She says, my goal is like $20,000 a month. I said, okay, nice. So you want to make 5 times the income that you're making right now? She said, yeah. I said, okay, nice. By when? She said, honestly, in the next year. She said, I know if I did 4, I can do 20. I'm like, I like your attitude, high five. I said, I have another question for you. I said, Bianca, let me ask you a question. I said, if you and I were in this room together and the 3,000 people were not here, and you had to look at me and say, and nobody's watching but your coach, what would you honestly tell me with all these people not watching your team? I said, if you looked at your business every single day, how hard do you really think you're working your business out of 10? I said, 1 being you wake up and money just floats to you in abundance and you really don't do nothing, or it doesn't float to you and you don't make money. And 10 being like, you go to bed every night and be like, I'm exhausted, I'm done, I did everything I could do, from prospecting, marketing, team calls, everything. Like, you know all the important areas of your business, right? Yes, I do. Perfect. Out of 10, generically all around your business, I said, where would you grade yourself that you are, your effort, your operations and your effort, what do you feel like you're putting in towards that 20? She says, honestly, Daniel, I want to say I'm working hard, but you're right. Like, I'm probably at a 6 or a 7. And I said, Bianca, I don't care if you don't like me. I've already gotten paid and I will make money tomorrow. But the last thing I will do to you is lie to you. She said, what do you mean? I said, you're not working at a 7. She said, how so? And I know you're not working at a 7. And I know you don't want to be at a 7. You know what wants you to be at your 7? Your subconscious brain that keeps you safe. Your subconscious brain doesn't want to give you the reality. So that's why you're hovering at a 7. But you don't even want to be at a 7. I said, you want to know what you want to be at right now? And you're at a 2. And I just pause and I let it sink. And for everybody on this call, it's the exact same thing that I'm doing right now with everybody on the call. How would you be able to 5x your income if you only have another 3 points to grow? I said, you only got another 30% left in you. Wait, you're going to go from 4,000 to 9,000? I said, dude, you're at a 2. You're at a 2 and you want to go to a freaking 10. And the only thing that's stopping you is your subconscious brain telling you, it's okay, don't worry. You're at a 7, 8, or 9 and you're trying. And it's telling you you're fine. But if you said, I'm at a 2, let me go take this a level serious. Can I get better at prospecting? Can I get tighter at presenting? Can I reach out to more people? Can I work a little bit harder? I said, you know there's more points to grow. You're going to 5x your income. But how do you 5x your income when you already think I'm at an 8 or a 9? I said, when Daniel wants to 10x his income, he has to go back to a 1. Okay, what's every area in my business I can increase here? Stop telling yourself I'm fine. No, I'm grateful for where I'm at, but I'm definitely not satisfied. So let me go back to a 2 or a 1 over here. Because the only reason why leaders, when they reach $50,000, $20,000, $5,000 a month, is because they already think they're at a 9.5. Yeah, of course they only grow by another $5,000. And then you want to know what happens? You know, there's this thing called duplication inside of the business. Do you know how duplication happens? When your team sees that you have more points to grow, duplication naturally occurs. So when a team member can see their leader that they stopped learning and stopped hustling and didn't sell themselves back at a 2, duplication stops. Do you know what a team hopes for? That my leader never stops learning and never stops trying to go to the next jump. I hope my leader shows up to more conferences. I hope my leader keeps reading books. I hope my leader keeps posting, because that's the person I want to be under. I don't want to be under a leader that thinks they're a 9. I want to be under a leader that operates like they're at a 1. And then duplication naturally occurs. But there's a reason why 95% of people hit this income, and I'm saying 10 to 15,000, and then they coast because they went to a 9. And you want to know the people that just skip a bracket every single year, 100,000 to 500, 500 to a million to 10 million. The moment they got to a million, they went back down to 1. Let me say it again. The moment they hit a million, they went back down to 1. And it's the old saying where it says, you can't teach a broke person nothing about money, Right? What do they say? They say a broke person knows everything about money. You can't tell them nothing about money. You can't teach a broke person nothing about money. They know everything. And then a millionaire go back, oh, teach me how to get to 10. I'm stupid with my money. I made $1 million. I only got $130,000 in the bank. Teach me how I can teach me more about this. So what I'm saying to you guys, that wasn't even a coaching lesson, but you see what I just did? I hope somebody can like look around the corner. Mark Cuban sometimes says, don't always watch what people say, but watch what they're doing around the corners. He says billionaires look around the corners. They watch what people do. I just did it to everybody right now. Maybe 5 people caught on or 10 people caught on. I just coached to make you think something different. So if I needed to go sell this phone right now, you'd be like, wait, I am thinking different. The phone is easy to sell because now you and I have this level of rapport. Is it hard? Yes. Does nobody want to hear it? Yes. Is it the reality? Yes. So we got to figure out where inside of first of all, maybe you should go think of that inside of the business as to why you haven't had growth. Is because maybe inside of your head you thought you were fine and you thought there was only this much more learning. And it's scary, by the way, team, if you have 5 people on your team, you have to show them that you're working harder more than ever right now, okay? But the other thing is this, where can you figure out inside of your script to figure out how to build coaching points inside of the script so they look at you as a leader, so when you're on a phone call, you don't have to follow up 9 to 10 times and you can close them on the sale. Because they said, wow, you made me think about something that I haven't thought about myself. Like, yes, maybe you could do something. Hey, by the way, when you partner up with us, are you willing to commit to this life? Yes. How much are you willing to give? Yes. What are you going to do when life happens and you still got to work the business? You still going to come on the Zoom calls can you commit to every Monday Zoom call? Yes. Is there any Zoom calls that you're going to miss over the next 6 months? I don't know. How about the next 6 weeks? Guess what a sales rep does when they're selling somebody the business or opportunity? Okay, man, can't wait to get you started. And then the person doesn't get started. Want to know why? Because they don't think you're serious about the business. And this isn't the conversation that no sales reps want to have, but why do you think it is that the top level leaders, quote unquote, have a higher closing percentage than the downline that's been in the business for 3 years? Because the prospect sees the leader and the coach as somebody that takes their business serious. And that person is now not scared to lose a customer and say, hey, dude, by the way, we have Zoom calls every single Monday. If you want to double your income, it's going to require, okay, I know you can't make it that 3rd week. Are you sure you're good for the next 6 weeks? That person sees like, oh, that person takes their business serious. Oh, that person's not scared to lose a sale. Oh, that person's actually a coach and a leader. Let me sign up with that person. So I guess the second half of this training today was, how do I edify my posture as a coach? Because remember, in sales, it's a status and posture problem. And the only way you could do it, your company doesn't team. Super Patch does not raise our status and posture. Only your permission raises your status and posture, but not your company. They can't do it for you. And nor does a rank. Nor does a rank. Only you do it, right? You have to feel good about what you do. You have to know it's in service to people, right? You have to have a good relationship about when I close this person, I'm serving the person, right? You have to have this good relationship with money to raise your posture, because some of us don't make it inside of the business because we feel like things are expensive. We feel like maybe it's a negative thing to do for somebody. Maybe you have a bad relationship with commissions, right? Maybe you don't think commissions is the best thing in the world, by the way. Like maybe, you know, there might be people on this call right now that they've never had a conversation with commissions. Write that one down. If I ever say write it down, write it down. Conversations with commissions. Told my team this 2.5 weeks ago. I'm like, when's the last time you guys had a conversation with commissions? They said, what do you mean? I said, dude, when's the last time you talked to commissions and said thank you? How you doing today? Not so good, nice. Hey, by the way, I'm grateful for you. Why? Well, because I can make a sale and move on and I'm going to be attached to you. See, commission's the best thing in the world. See, everything, commissions, right? There's different words for money. Commissions equals the most freedom because it has the least attachment for a sale, okay? Sometimes a business partner ain't a commission, but a sale can be a commission. It can be residual. And it is like, when I think about this word commission, I say, wow, thank you, God, for commissions. Why? Because everything has a money term. Like, what do you call school? Fees, tuition. What do you call government? Taxes. What do you call courts? Fines. What do you call a job? A salary. Okay? Like there's just all these terms. What do you call divorce or marriage? What is it? Alimony? What do you call sales? Commissions. Now, which one has the least binding attachment towards it? Commissions. Because with everything within money just means there's some sort of energetic exchange and there's a binding agreement towards money, right? Like there's an agreement. People don't see this, but when there's a contract, sometimes the more the money is that is owed or that is paid, there's more of an energetical binding agreement between both parties. Now, for me, commissions is the best. Why? Sometimes it's the highest paying, it's the highest serving because it makes the world go round because you just sold something and nothing goes round without somebody selling something. But the third thing is this, it's that there's the least binding agreement in commissions than there is with taxes, tuition. Why? Usually when you make a sale and you're in a company like yours, especially your company, it's sale and it's just the customer. Sale, they love the product, they buy it again, commission. Not sale, I got to work with you every single day on the product. No, it's sale, let me show you how to set it up, let me see how to use it, and let me touch base with you, follow through, ask you if you have family members, and if you love it, commission check comes in every single month. You order, I get a commission check. Oh, come on. That's a beautiful part about money. But the problem is you might have a bad relationship with commissions or money. And remember what I said. You need a very good relationship with money to know that, hey, by the way, people are going to spend it. You have to know that, hey, by the way, if they don't spend it with me, they're going to go spend it with somebody else. You have to have this good attack. By the way, it's energy flow, right? Like money is just energy. It's going to go from one person to another. The same way sometimes we try to hoard it and not invest it in ourselves or somebody else, it's sometimes hard for us to ask, right? So maybe we have this bad relationship with money because we grew up when we were young and people told us to save. And then when we get into closing, we don't know how to ask somebody to invest money because we think they're spending it instead of exchanging it. You see the relationship with money? So sometimes it's hard for us to coach people because we know about the product, but when it comes time to asking people to buy from us, we think they're going to be spending money. But a great closer never thinks that. A great closer they're just bartering and exchanging. It's money for service, and this person probably gains more than the money that is either invested into the business. Okay, so that's one. So how do we raise our posture and status? Well, it comes from a belief thought. I will always sell more than my customers buy, number one. Number two, I'm in a position of service. They exchange money for a better life, and here's the ROI from it. If I've never told you guys to do this worksheet, do it tonight. It's a great worksheet. Take your product and write out every single pro about your product, and then write down the con. This is going to be good. And by the way, nobody wants to have the hard conversation. There could be a con. What do you mean, Daniel? There's no cons about my product. The same way you think that is the same way you didn't write out the product, this sheet that I'm doing. I promise you this. But listen, to you, but there has to be one or two or three. Are you lying? No, you're a liar. If you say a con is maybe getting up and going, like imagine this is just one of them. This isn't bad, I'm just saying. It could be, hey, adding something new that you gotta get up and put a patch on your leg. Fine, one con. You gotta add, I don't know, the second con, Mary, is that you got an extra thing that is in sitting around in your house. I don't know, figure out why your product can add a little bit of disruption. But if you make it seem like there's nothing wrong, then they'll never listen to the pros. So you wanna know what we do inside of my business? What is every single reason as to why somebody wouldn't buy it? Write it down. I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna look good on me. Right? A con. I don't know if I want to wear a patch here. Okay, but they can hide it, right? I don't know if I want to spend the money, but it can be invested. So what are the cons inside of their head that they can think of? Write it down. And then on the right-hand side of the sheet, and I do this with every single new salesperson that ever joins my business, I say on the right-hand side of the sheet, write down every single reason why somebody would partner up with your business. Buy your product or partner up with your business, and just make a list of them. Boom, 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 boom. Why? Because then when you're on a phone call, if you know 5 of them, your brain's always going to remember them. And you can write out the list with them too as well. Hey, by the way, Mary, let me just write you out exactly what people think about and what we actually do. Remember what Benjamin Franklin said? He said, if you want to make an informed and educated decision, just make sure the pros outweigh the cons. You don't want the cons to outweigh the pros. So you make a line. On the left-hand side, you have cons. On the right-hand side, you have pros. These are all the reasons why people start with us. People like yourself. So obviously, team, there's a million, but just figure out who they are. This is all the reasons why, Janet, people would do something like this. Because of work health, this, money, This is why they wouldn't get started with us. And these are all the reasons why somebody did get started with us. The only reason why they got started with us is because this outweighed that. And when the reasons outweigh the excuses, ta-da, a sale happens. So imagine as a team, if we can't understand the reasons versus the excuses, then it's hard for us to make sales. And the third thing to that point is, team, if you ever can't do that, I would encourage everybody, this is mandatory, to level up your sales game, is sit down tonight, flick on one of your videos, testimonial videos, and submerge yourself in it every single day before you go to bed at nighttime. Let me say that one more time. The best training for anybody right now is sit down, watch every single freaking video testimonial that a client has ever had, and don't do no training, but just sit down and watch it. Why? Belief is more important than action within itself. Remember what I said, a lack of action stems from a lack of belief. So when I'm trying to shake my team and I'm like, why did you bring that person in? They're like, they just didn't want to do it. I'm like, dude, you don't believe in me enough. You don't believe in me. They said, what do you mean? I said, can you just sit down and go watch the 30,000 written testimonials that I have? Can you go watch the 190 videos that our clients just made about us in the last 6 months? Just sit down and watch it every night before you go to bed for 20 minutes. Because how do you train on belief? Sit down and watch humans, real humans, not paid actors, talk about what happened to them, and just watch it every single night. And you got to brainwash yourself until you understand how powerful this thing is, to where your heart and soul can't miss by somebody on the street. That was the best training we've ever done. Every single morning, you know what we used to do? We used to get right to work. We used to get right to the KPIs, right to the dashboard, and talk about business company goals. Then I said, you know what? Let's talk about all our clients first. Let's watch all our clients. Let's watch what happened, why it happened, where she was, and let's just keep going about that. And guess what started to happen? Closing skyrocketed. You want to know why? Because all those video testimonials, everybody had a different situation. And everybody had a different story. And a lot of people had different results. And then when my salespeople started to get on phone calls, they started to talk to the doctor that had this situation. They started remembering about the testimonial. And you know what they started saying? You know what? You remind us like one of our clients. And they had a testimonial to go back to. They had a belief thing to go back to. They had a story to go back to. Do you know how many people, team, right now, maybe on your team or maybe yourself, you have clients that come in and there's a direct testimonial and you don't know the story of where they started, how they started, and why the business actually worked out for them, why the patches actually worked out for them. And if you can't bring out that story, guess what? It's a weak sales pitch. So you raise your posture, you raise your belief, right? You do it. That's like, it's a you job. Last thing is, remember what I said, team, today. Don't always look for new business. Look for the business that's already around inside of your company. And how can I go add more into those relationships, pour more insight, add a new idea, add a new thought. So maybe when it's time for them to change, they think about you first. And remember, nobody, and I mean nobody, can say that you're aggressive and annoying if you just added something new, value to their life, and you're not asking for the sale. Hey, Kara, just thought of you. Go watch this video. They can't say you're annoying if you're adding more value. You're only annoying when you're saying, are you ready to get started? So the job right now is to say, when I don't sell somebody, let me follow through instead of following up with that person. And I can do that a million times as long as I'm adding something new of value to that person, because there's no number. I know I say 5, but if you know how to send that person out so many video testimonials, hey, watch this. Hey, dude, I know you're busy right now, but I just thought of you. I just had this conversation. Would love for you to watch this testimonial out. I just asked somebody this morning, how many testimonials have you sent out in the last 7 days? She said none. I said, how many follow-ups have you done? She's like, 9. I said, you're telling me you did 9 follow-ups and you haven't sent them over a testimonial that is related back to their situation. Yeah. I said, so you only care about commissions and they can smell it. They don't know what's in it for them still. It's a them game and then it's a you game. They have to know, they have to feel good first. They have to know that they're the only prospect in the world. I'm going to this gym in Mississauga. It's called YMCA, okay? Now, maybe some of you guys know the YMCA here. And I like going to the YMCA because I was like born and raised inside the YMCA, right? And people are like, oh, I love the YMCA, man. They got this big track. It's empty half the time because everybody's too fancy and they go to these cool gyms. So I walk across the street, I go to the YMCA, and I'm there, I'm running there, and one guy says, dude, sales legend. He's like, dude, we're selling, he's like, we work for Trillium Health Partners for donations. He's on the street with one of his homies. They're getting donations. He's like, bro, what tip can you give me? And I sat down and I said, you're asking me for money right now. He said, no, bro. I'm not asking you for money. I just want a sales tip. I said, no. You're asking me for 5 minutes. That's money, right? Yes. I said, since you're asking me for money, and by the way, I'm giving him the sales lesson because he asked for a sales lesson. I said, you're asking me for money right now. He said, I'm not asking you for money, dude. I just want to know a tip, like quick, 15 seconds. I'm like, dude, it's worth money. You see me running right now. So you're asking me for money? He said, yeah. I said, good. We're about our money, dude. I said, you're asking me for $150 right now? Yes. Maybe that's what my 15-second worth is. Okay, maybe that's my 5-minute worth is. I said, care about me. I know I'm busy. I know I'm Daniel G. And I know I give a lot of value. But your tip for today was care about me before you ask for the money. That's it. And I know you wanted me to give you a closing tip, but your tip was, Daniel, dude, you're a beast. Can I just give you a high five? Can I give you a hug, dude? Can I just give you your flowers right now that you're actually a maniac? I see you running to the gym. Dude, you looking good. High five. You are the same that I see you offline. I said, if you did that to me, I would now want to give you 10 minutes of my time, not just 3 minutes. I said, you get it? He said, yeah. So I said, every single person that walks by, it's them first, it's you second. They will listen to you when you listen to them. I said, I promise you that. Human beings are great humans as long as they can feel the other heart. I said, it's heart-to-heart selling. It's not product-to-product selling. It's not product to human, okay? It's heart-to-heart, and it's the highest frequency. Dude, I can feel it. I said, be in it with me. It's so simple when you care about the person. I'm really saying that. It's so easy, okay? So, team, can't wait to see you guys all soon. Terry, Jay, guys, love you, Super Patch. Hopefully you guys got some notes for this, okay? Dude, appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Looking forward to next time.
See you guys.